I grew up in a family. My mom's a social justice professor. My dad is an insurance guy that builds endowments for churches. So I grew up in an environment that was very, democratic thinking. And but at the same time, I was raised in a home that expressed Republican values, meaning that my dad was a hardworking man who supported the family, and my mom worked hard and always pushed us to to go to college and different things like that. But what I wanted to share real briefly, and I think this could be something that could make this night even add to the night, the amazingness of this night. But I want to ask everybody, just by a show of hands, who wants to hear me give a solution to win California for the Republican Party? Like just by a show of hands. Okay. And then my second question is, if I give you a strategy, will you believe it? Because it's difficult, in any environment. It's like even if you go biblical, they said the Israelites, when they were in Egypt, they had such a lack of hope, because they dealt with so much adversity and they were beat down for so many years that, God had to create something so miraculous for them to realize their potential, right? So kind of like I want to see if we can tap into that world of potential. So the opportunity for the Republican Party has to do with the change and the opportunities of technology. Meaning that traditionally, like when we say a free market or we say entrepreneurship, if you think about the last 50, 60, 70, 100 years in America, you had to be educated to a certain level, you had to have access to banks and finances and loans, or you had to know people who had wealth. And traditionally, in the Hispanic and African American communities, the idea of passing down wealth was a very difficult idea. So the whole idea, if I have a business, if you look at through the 90s and the 80s, most of the entrepreneurs, receive money from mafia and drug dealers. And so when you go into a community and you say to them, hey, you know what? We're talking about you making money and you being free and you being to make things happen. Initially, it sounds great, but then you turn around and you look and you're like, well, how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I participate in all this amazingness? Like the first part of my life, we lived in LA, like in the Ladera Heights area. And my dad's company did really well, and we eventually moved out to the Valley, to Calabasas and West Hill. So that's where I grew up. So I was able to see both sides of the world in a way. And the difference between the kids who live in Calabasas and the kids who live in South Central is not talent or intelligence, it's the belief system that they can make something happen. And so we're in a unique time where we have this thing called the internet, and we have something that's even more important than the internet. In the financial world in Wall Street, they're saying that if you have an organized community of people, it's a financial asset, to the point that cell phone applications are being sold for billions of dollars, not making any revenue, but the fact that they have communities. Now that community, why does that community has value? Because traditionally, if I advertise my candy bar, I have to reach all these different outlets. But if I have a community of people that already love candy bars, my money is circumvented. It's hitting the target. So what I'm saying is that a kid who lives in Watts can learn how to organize friends and family, fans, things that they're already doing. The kids are already rapping, they're already throwing parties, they're already creating trends. That's what they've been doing, since the 1930s in this country, right? But now we're saying that same street team that kid who has no education would make, but made billions of dollars for record labels, that same street team now can be worth tens of millions of dollars. So the opportunity that we have is to change our language to the time and say to the people in the community and say, hey, not only can you participate in this vision that we're talking about, that our job as politicians is to help you how to get there. And part of helping us how to get there is not just focusing on the 12% that vote in our communities. It's about that 80%, that 82% that's just out there that want opportunity, that want to believe in the American dream, but no one's created an opportunity for them. The Democratic Party, and why I don't believe in them, is because they create an environment where I'm dependent. I'm dependent on things outside of myself. And that's against God's message. God says that He gives us the power to do anything that we want with our mind, with our effort, through hard work. And so that message of hard work and using our minds has never been more connected to the Republican Party since the internet, since social media. So what I'm asking everyone to do is, like, as we go forward, especially with this organization we have in South Los Angeles, Inglewood, is to say, like, you know what? It's not even, we shouldn't even, like, I've been creating movements for the last several years. Like, I created the skinny jeans movement, the jerky movement. These are all kids that were creating content with viral videos and creating business models. And my job was going out and bringing in the corporations and showing the value of these communities. I'm out organizing, not for political purposes, but for economic purposes. I'm going out and I seen the ability to go and talk to kids and people at the age of 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 about things that reflect their interests. They bought into what I was doing because I was giving them opportunity. So if we're saying that our local politicians are going to say, you know what, we're going to empower the creative people of our district. We're going to go out and empower the social entrepreneurs in our district. We're going to build endowments. We're going to go to the private sector and we're going to say, hey, private sector, you're making billions of dollars on tennis shoes, on candy bars, on headphones. Beats by Dre just gave, Dr. Dre gave what, almost $100 million to USC? And so what I'm saying is that our challenge is to create a new language that represents Republican values, but connects to that 80% in these districts. Because the thing is, it's not about people winning Democrat or Republican. Our job as Americans is to get everyone politically involved so the voice of the people can be heard. That's what it's about. And so from that perspective, it's our responsibility. If we're not looking to make our district more politically intelligent, we're doing a disservice. We're doing a disservice because we don't know what the truth is right now. We don't know. There's no Obama fans here, but he was on this talk show last week and he said something that really affected me. He said, Washington does not work because less than 10% of the local communities are engaged in the voting process. That's reality. That's reality. And then this is my last thing. We're in an era where technology has removed labor. We don't need physical labor workers anymore. So this whole idea we're going to get new jobs through construction and building and we're going to hire people in the city, that's a fantasy because those jobs are not needed anymore. We have robots, we can outsource it globally, or we have a software that could do it. So the question is, what is the future of America? What is our economy going to look like if people are going to be driving in traffic to go to a building that they call their job? Because they don't need the building anymore. I have a cell phone over there. I can do everything in my office on my cell phone. So our job, again, is to say, look at the conditions of our community and ask ourselves, how do we take our message as Republicans and create a gateway for people's voice to be heard? Thank you.